Aloha. One nation under God. Are we still that one nation under God? I am the daughter of a disabled Vietnam Army veteran. At the age of 17, my father joined the Army. At the age of 23, he fought cancer and won. I am also the daughter of an Air Force officer. I myself didn't sign up for the military service. Instead, I went straight to college. I grew up on 2 islands, Oahu and the Big Island, and I know both islands like the back of my hands. And even though we are one Hawaii, Oahu is a completely different culture and ballgame. In 1892, our Pledge of Allegiance originally read, "We give our hearts and hearts to God, and our country, one language, one flag." To God, that's what I want to point out here. Hawaii is no longer a Christian-dominant state. At least 50% of our elected politicians to Washington, D.C., half of them I know are not Christians. Hawaii has lost its Christianity-dominant foothold. In 1923, the National Flag Conference called for the words "My flag" to be changed to the flag of the United States, so that new immigrants would not confuse loyalties between their birth countries and the United States. In 1942, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. President Truman stated, "May this day of infamy never be forgotten." In 1954, President Eisenhower stated that something was missing from the flag. He cited Abraham Lincoln's words, "Under God." And those defining words sets the United States apart from any other nation. He stated that this nation shall, under God, have a new birth of freedom. In this way, we will always constantly strengthen our spiritual weapons, which will be our country's most powerful resource in peace or in war. This is for Hawaii's spiritual protection as well. The pledge now as it reads, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God." This is a godly nation. Our country was founded by those that believed in God Almighty. God's first commandment states that we shall not worship any other gods before Him. That includes any instruments and any other books other than the Holy Bible. His very first commandment is very straightforward and simple. I'm not here to preach to you. However, my time is now. And now I have come out of the private sector as a real estate developer, engineer, and a scientist to set things back on track, because I saw that this was a very serious issue and concern for Hawaii. I am not a career politician, no, because this is not what Hawaii needs right now. We don't need another career politician, non-Christian, and that is what my biggest competitor is, a non-Christian Hindu. I have never met her personally, and I'm sure she is the sweetest gal, but her beliefs, her values, her morals, her foundation is not a Christian one. And she makes this very clear by going around the world professing her Hindu beliefs and traditions using her congressional powers. This is not American at all. This jeopardizes Hawaii and our nation's security. This puts us at risk amongst other nations as we turn our backs against God by electing non-Christians to represent Hawaii. This also makes God very jealous. I may not always be politically correct, but when I see something that ain't right, I'll talk about it. We don't have time to mess around with the seriousness of the issues that Hawaii is faced with. These are very troubling times right now. I had people tell me that she has the freedom of religion. Well, so do I. See, I was born American. My father served in the Army, and my stepfather served in the Air Force, and my grandfather served in the Navy. And that is my freedom of religion to talk about my religion here in the middle of politics. I am protected. My fathers fought for my rights, and I am standing up and exercising our constitutional rights to be an American, to be free in my country. And I am also standing up for your rights too. Homelessness. This war on the escalating costs on this multi-billion-dollar rail, the long-term onset of Fukushima, the escalating numbers of victims that will succumb to cancer, our energy oil crisis, and to ensure our food and water supply stays safe are a few of my main concerns. One thing that I would like to do is to make Hawaii 75% energy renewable, not by the year 2050, but within 5 years. That's 35 years from now. Okay. Also, I'd like to address our food production. I'd like to keep the foods we grow here in the islands, here for our island people, instead of exporting it all away. I am trying to unite Hawaii because we are so divided. It breaks my heart, yes it does, to see Hawaii and Americans suffer. Yes, it's because this is where East meets West. This makes us vulnerable. Not every war is fought with arms and weapons. This is an economical war, a political war, and God's holy spiritual war. This is wrong for Hawaii, wrong for America, and that's why I have stepped up and to help restore Christianity back to Hawaii and back to America. We don't want to lose Hawaii to immigrant foreigners who bring their false religion and gods here. This is my Hawaii too. This is my America. This is a movement to convert Hawaii back to Christianity with the help and the guidance from God. And Revelation mentions the 144,000 special angels. And that's exactly the amount of evangelical voters that I need. My name is Angela Kaaihue. I am a Christian. I believe in God Almighty and only in one God. I believe in Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Let's stand in the light of God's grace together. I'm working really hard fighting for you, for our families, for our Hawaii, for our kingdom, and for our America. Take back Hawaii, make Hawaii great again, help to restore Hawaii back to Christianity, and preserve our America. God bless America, and God bless Hawaii too. My name is Angela Kaaihue, and I'm your candidate for U.S. Congress, House of Representatives. Come this November, I'm asking you to register if you haven't yet done so, and vote Kaaihue for Congress. Thank you very much. Please stay tuned for my next segment on Religion History 101, as we discuss Christianity versus Hinduism. The Hindu prayer. On September 14, in the year 2000, a Hindu priest, Venkatachalapathy Samudrala of the Shiva Vishnu Hindu Temple in Parma, Ohio, opened a session of the U.S. House of Representatives with a prayer. He was the first Hindu to do so. Representative Sherrod Brown of Ohio had invited Mr. Samudrala as a guest chaplain, said, "Today is a great day for Indian-American relations. India and the United States share the bonds of history and culture. I requested the House chaplain invite Mr. Samudrala to give today's prayer as a testimony to the religious diversity that is the hallmark of our nation. Mr. Samudrala's prayer reminds us that while we may differ in culture and traditions, we are alike in the basic aspiration for peace and righteousness." The initial response by the Family Research Council was of this. Robert Reiger and Timothy Diley wrote an essay about the prayer. It appeared on September 21st in the Culture Facts section of the Family Research Council's website. It was also emailed or mailed to the subscribers of Culture Facts, a weekly newsletter. The FRC is a Washington, D.C.-based fundamentalist Christian agency. It was spun off from the Colorado Springs-based focus on the family many years ago. According to a fax received from the FRC Legal Studies section, this essay failed to go through our full editing process, which would have removed any statements inconsistent with the FRC's official position. The essay was part of a question and answer section labeled Religious Pluralism or Tolerance. It included a question from a member of the public. A Hindu priest was recently invited to give the opening invocation in the House of Representatives. What's wrong with this? Riger and Daly's answer was, in part, what's wrong is that it is one more indication that our nation is drifting from its Judeo-Christian roots. Alas, in our day when tolerance and diversity have replaced the Ten Commandments as the only remaining absolute dictums, it has become necessary to celebrate non-Christian religions even in the halls of Congress. Our founders expected that Christianity and no other religion would receive support from the government as long as that support did not violate people's conscience and their right to worship. They would have found utterly incredible the idea that all religions, including paganism, be treated with equal deference. Many people today confuse Western religious tolerance with religious pluralism. The formal embraces biblical truth while allowing for freedom of conscience, while the later assumes all religions are equally valid, resulting in moral relativism and ethical chaos. Pluralism. It is a state of society in which members of diverse ethnic, racial, religious, or social groups maintain and develop their traditional culture or special interest within the confines of a common civilization. That is the definition of pluralism. An illustrious day for all Americans and a memorable day for us, so declared Rajan Zed, a Hindu priest from Nevada, after being invited to open the July 12, 2007 session of the United States Senate with a Hindu prayer. A prayer that he indicated would rely heavily on Hindu scriptures, the Rig Veda, the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita, wearing the saffron robes synonymous with Hindu priests. Zed sprinkled on the Senate's podium some ganja water from the Ganges River, considered holy by Hindus, and then uttered the following prayer. Please don't mind my accent, but here. May we meditate on the transcendental glory of the Deity Supreme who is inside the heart of the earth, inside the life of the sky, and inside the soul of the heaven. May He stimulate and illuminate our minds, leads us from the unreal to real, from darkness to light, and from death to immorality. May we be protected together. May we be nourished together. May we work together with great vigor. May our study be enlightening. May no obstacle arise between us. May the senators strive constantly to serve the welfare of the world, performing their duties with the welfare of others always in mind, because by devotion to selfless work, one attains the supreme goal of life. May they work carefully and wisely, guided by compassion and without thought for themselves. United your resolve, united your hearts. May your spirits be at one, that you may long dwell in unity and concord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. The architects of American civilization would be aghast. To give credence or credibility to pantheistic religion, God inside the earth and sky, etc., that advocates belief in thousands of gods, while rejecting the one true God of the Bible, would be unthinkable in America. In 1776, it was equally unthinkable for most Americans until the last 40 to 50 years. The politically correct climate now enshrouding America literally is suffocating the moral and religious sensibilities of society. The nod to Hinduism follows closely on the heels of election of a Muslim to the U.S. House of Representatives, as well as the first atheist in Congress, and now a first Hindu and the first Buddhist in 2012. It was on June 28, 1787, in the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, that one of the least religious of the founders, Benjamin Franklin, then in his 80s, rose to his feet and made the proposal that Congress open their sessions with prayer. Yet on that occasion, the God, the religion, and the sacred scriptures that Franklin had in mind were certainly not the gods, religious, and scriptures of Hinduism. Here was his proposal in his own words. Note, lest the reader miss the fact that Franklin's speech is thoroughly saturated with allusions to the one true God and the Bible. Such references are noted in bold and biblical citations. In this situation of this assembly, groping as it were in the dark to find political truth, and scarce able to distinguish it when presented to us, how has it happened, sir, that we have not hereto once thought of humbly applying to the Father of lights, James 1:17, to eliminate our understanding? In the beginning of the contest with Britain, when we were sensible of danger, we had daily prayer in this room for divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard, and they were graciously answered. And have we now forgotten that powerful friend? Or do we imagine we no longer need his assistance? I have lived, sir, a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs, Acts 1:3, I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men, Daniel 4:17. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, Matthew 10:29, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings, that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Psalms 127:1. I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his concurring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. Genesis 1:11. We shall be divided by our partial local interests. Our projects will be confounded, and we ourselves shall become a reproach and byword down to future ages. Psalms 44:13 and 14, Jeremiah 24:9. I therefore beg leave to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessing on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to business, and that one or more of the clergy of this city be requested to officiate in that service. Founders like Franklin would not have dignified pagan religion that constitutes a blatant insult to the God of the universe, the one whom they ardently implored to guide and protect them. Neither would they have accepted the idea that sacred writings include the Hindu Vedas. For sure, the founders of America desired religious freedom. Technically, by religious freedom, they meant that all Protestant denominations should have the right to pursue their own interpretation of the Bible and to worship the God and Christ of the Bible according to their own conscience without governmental interference. As one of the fathers of American jurisprudence, Joseph Story explained, The real object of the First Amendment was not to continents, much less to advance Mohammedanism or Judaism or infidelity by prostrating Christianity, but to exclude all rivalry among Christian sects and to prevent any national ecclesiastical establishment which should give to an hierarchy the exclusive patronage of the national government. Nevertheless, the founders were perfectly willing to extend the right of religious freedom to those who did not share the Protestant brand of the Christian religion. They opposed all religious persecution for the simple reason that Christian people love their fellow men and do not mistreat others. Matthew 7, verse 12. But make no mistake, the founders believed in the God of the Bible, and the vast majority of them believed in the validity of the Christian religion to the exclusion of all other gods and religions. They would not have continents giving non-Christian religions any sort of public endorsement or favorable encouragement. This fact is demonstrated easily by their innumerable forthright declarations regarding the essentiality of Christianity as the foundation on which the Republic was founded. It also is seen in the occasional explicit repudiation of such non-Christian religions as Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism. Hindus typically were styled Hindus, pagans, heathens, and idolaters. For example, consider the remarks by John Jay, a brilliant founder with a long and distinguished career in the formation and shaping of American civilization from the beginning. He was not only a member of the Continental Congress from 1774 to 1776, serving as its president from 1778 to 1779, but he also helped to frame the New York State Constitution and then served as the Chief Justice of the New York Supreme Court. He co-authored the Federalist Papers, was appointed by the first Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court by George Washington in 1789 to 1795, served as Governor of New York 1795 to 1801, and was the Vice President 1816 to 1821, and then Second President 1821 to 1827 of the American Bible Society. At the annual meeting of the American Bible Society on May 9, 1822, Jay commented on the almost universal view of Americans at the time relative to non-Christian religions. Although an immense heathen population in India was under the dominion, control, and influence of a Christian nation, yet it was deemed better policy to leave them in blindness than to risk incurring the inconveniences which might result from authorizing or encouraging attempts to relieve them from it. This policy was at length met with the neglect it deserved. The gospel had been introduced into India under the auspices of the British government, and various means are cooperating to advance its progress and hasten the time when the King of Saints will emancipate that people from the domination of the Prince of Darkness. Jay obviously viewed the non-Christian religions of India as heathen and the work of Satan, the Prince of Darkness, being an allusion to the devil. Where did the founders get their ideas regarding polytheism, paganism, and idolatry? Their assessment of Hinduism was in complete harmony with the Bible's own declarations. Those who make an image, all of them are useless, and their precious things shall not profit. They are their own witnesses. They neither see nor know, that they may be ashamed. Who would form a god or mold an image that profits him nothing? Surely all his companions would be ashamed, and the workmen, they are mere men. Let them all be gathered together, let them stand up, yet they shall fear. They shall be ashamed together. The blacksmith with the tongs works one in the coals, fashions it with hammers, and works it with the strength of his arms. Even so he is hungry, and his strength fails. He drinks no water and is faint. The craftsman stretches out his rule. He marks one out with chalk. He fashions it with the plane. He marks it out with his compass, and makes it like the figure of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. He cuts down cedars for himself, and takes the cypress and the oak. He secures it for himself among the trees of the forest. He plants a pine, and the rain nourishes it. Then it shall be for a man to burn, for he will take some of it and warm himself. Yes, he kindles it and bakes bread. Indeed, he makes a god and worships it. He makes it a carved image and falls down to it. He burns half of it in the fire. With this half he eats